Today we will tell you about the film where the doctor conducts special treatment. Movie name: A Dangerous Method. The movie begins with a demonstration of a young girl accompanied by officer because she is transported to the clinic. Dr. Jung will treat her there. Well, here's the problem. Sabina is confident that not sick. Doctor suggests he will check on her daily. And that's where they finish. Sid same he will be in the back. And under no circumstances, she shouldn't turn. She also needs to understand. What is the cause of her nervous breakdown? Sabina is confident. What is it because of any humiliation provoked seizures? Then abruptly silenced. The doctor notices it and wonders, what was she thinking? But Sabina doesn't know. Then Jung gives a couple of leading questions, finding out that this is the image of her father's hand. A little later at lunch he leads his wife. What is going to use experimental technique, which no one has used yet, and continues treatment, during which compliments that he would have to leave. Even more infuriating, Sabina Junglish raises her cloak with follow shake off, awakening another seizure. On her return to the clinic, Sabina decides to play with food, what the nurse notices, and hands it over to Professor Blamer. Really, when he went into the ward, Sabina disappeared somewhere, but pretty quickly was found in the nearest reservoir. Nurses instantly drag Sabina away to clean her of dirt. Goes a couple more days, Jung goes back to the clinic, and he already knows about what happened. According to clinic rules, patients should help staff somehow, and Jung offers to become his assistant. And since Sabina loves medicine, it makes her very happy. Already today they conduct first treatment. Jung asks questions as Sabina follows bright point. One way or another you need to continue and their treatment. Awakening another attack because of the story about everything. 2 years later, the Vane family visits Professor Freud, with whom they discuss the results of psychoanalysis, the key theme of which is including Sabina, whose thoughts were the most amazing. Freud suggests, what is this Russian feature? He also mentions that their research don't really like the other medical community, and even in 100 years their methods will be rejected. The next day Jung tells that meeting Freud was great, but you need to be more careful. His every word literally suppresses ideas. His interlocutors, all his followers, are completely faceless. Upon returning to the clinic, they continue to discuss everything, not yet guessing that Freud sent a special guest to their clinic who must do everything to stall his research. So he begins to introduce into the head of the young man the idea of, as for example, with patients based on their research. And tomorrow Sabina decides to kiss the youngster, with the addition of the address of her residence from. Immediately begins to push his idea even harder. All these conversations get him thinking. Something might convince him of new principles. I am afraid that he will manage to convince me. For example, asked by feet from already decides to escape from the clinic, leaving in a farewell letter, after which Jung violates his principles, and the next day continues his normal life, where the wife prepared a gift for him, yacht with golden sails, which is why Jung visits Sabina to break everything. But things go in a different direction. Freud also apologizes. What did he send Otto to him? Plus to everything remind that they should only work in one realm. Any telekinesis studies are unacceptable. When suddenly the shelf cracks and Jung states that at this point his stomach hurt. This is the phenomenon of catalytic exteriorization. His solar plexus is heating up and he is confident that in a minute everything will happen again, when suddenly another crackle happens. But Freud asks to understand, what is this just nonsense? What does not bother on returning home? Carry out another treatment. A new day is coming. Jung and Freud decide to take a boat ride. Where is Freud hint that Vane is walking a rumor about Jung with Sabina? But Jung denies everything. All this he gives to Sabine herself, which is why he will have to leave, because now he himself is sick. At lunch, wife tells, what is it she sent? Anonymity. Jung immediately summons Sabine, since her mother got anonymous, which he promised. What will he see Sabina? Only within the walls of this office, getting a cut. And already in the evening, Sabine writes a letter to Freud himself. He also unfollows Jung, and he would tell himself, is it true what is written in this letter? Jung assures him that kindness, which he passed to Sabine, turned into revenge. He will be glad if Freud takes his side. In a couple of days, Freud is already writing to Sabine herself, which he assures that his colleague is not capable of such act. Why is he asking to forget the doctor? upsetting Sabina, but it does not prevent to visit the doctor again, since Jung decided to retire completely from the medical field. But here's Sabina wants only one. Jung wrote to Freud again and told the whole truth, since she wants to be his patient. 3 days later, Freud receives another letter with all the confessions. But one way or another they go to America together. Closer to the night, Jung talks about his dream, where during luggage inspection, he spotted a man in an old imperial uniform. But here's the problem. The other passenger told him, what, no one is there. He may have seen a ghost. It means only one. His sleep is somehow connected between them. Like for example, before they exchanged ideas without any doubt. Now everything is completely different. After which Fred declares that also saw a dream, but will not tell about him. Do not drop your credibility. After a while, the ship arrives in America, and by Jung sure, what is the future waiting for them? Freud opposite, like they brought the plague to Switzerland. The 25th of September 1910, Sabina comes to the youngster. Since she prepared her dissertation, a theme that just needs a young man, he also compliments that when he left the clinic, thought that everything would be left behind. But now there is simply no outlet from customers, but he will manage to find time for her dissertation. True Sabina only wants one. Working together, Jung understands perfectly. That's a huge risk, but he is sure that they will be able to cope with it. Around next Tuesday, at the same time, on this day they will discuss everything. And all the guesses coming from her, which completely destroy Freud's theory and the next training. After time, Sabina finished her studies and receives a diploma, left to think of where she wants to go. But during this time, Jung completely changed and asks not to go anywhere. 2 years later, April 17th, 1912th year, Freud discusses Sabine's work, which is promoted in all communities. And already even Freud begins to suspect that she's not baseless. The truth of his shocking mention of Christ at the end of the work, since it's out of the doctor case. Professor Jung, it was because of this that he could not become his successor. How can you be a doctor when your head is stuffed with cheap mysticism? But he died in his eyes after lying about Sabine. And Freud has a case for her, offered to take a few of his patients. A few days later, a business meeting starts, where Freud gets too bad. That same evening, Jung sends a letter, in which he writes everything he thinks about him. Freud thought he was God. And Freud instantly sends a response, where he denies everything, ending their so-called friendship. The 16th of July 1913, Sabine visits the Jung family. By this time, Jung had completely gone into himself and does not accept new visitors. Of what emo asks Sabina to help him in person. York assures her that Freud's methods are dead ends, need to find a way out when the patient can find himself. He died of starvation in Berlin in 1919. Freud was expelled by the Germans and died of cancer. In 1939, Sabina returned to Russia to teach medicine, but in 1941 left this world. This is where the movie ends.